The attack on our kids is real. Nowadays, we see an influx of our kids acting out and speaking in a way that in the past would have otherwise been unheard of. If you agree, then let us talk about it. Welcome to By Faith. My name is Maribel Johnson, and today I would like to talk about how much our children are under attack and where we are also complicit in this whole development. So, what I have realized is that our children, or kids in general, small children, they tend to speak in a way that is absolutely unheard of. We are talking about cursing, we're talking about children acting in a way that is can be rude, can be disrespectful, or more violent sometimes even, right? And you will wonder, well, how is that possible? Why is it so prevalent for us to see? So, one theory I would say is that we are also complicit in it. And one reason is that we ourselves do not care to check our children when it's time to do so. So, one problem is that it is cute or being regarded as cute when the kid says certain things. Oh, F bomb. Oh, this, that, whatever. And we just go along with the whole scenario. Like, did you see what he says? Or did you see what she says? Instead of saying right then and there, absolutely not. And these behaviors can come from school, they can come from kindergarten, they can come from pre-K, they can come from anywhere, right? They can come from the street sometimes, from songs or from movies. Whatever these kids are exposed to, they will soak it up like a sponge and release it wherever they feel fit to do so. And then I think that when the Bible speaks about train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they shall not depart from it. So it is already saying that there must be discipline in it, right? There must be discipline in the situation where we say, this is absolutely unacceptable. However, it doesn't even have to be this extreme. It doesn't even have to be the fact that the child is being extreme in its speech or in its actions. There are certain things that it's already doing in the beginning that we still deem cute, that we still deem, I don't know, acceptable, where the line has actually already been drawn or should have been drawn for us as an adult, because we have to nip it in the bud. So already in the beginning, we should be able to say, this is not how we will proceed, because whatever starts small will of course rise and just get big and explode, right? And the issue at stake is also that we feel like all that we want to do is shower our kids with love, shower them with love, shower them with love, right? You can't do no wrong in my eyes. Or, well, if you do wrong, I will not discipline you, but I will just be so nice to you again. Let's just come back and be so nice. Instead of understanding that God is even speaking about discipline. There is no way that we can raise up a child without discipline, right? But there's no way that we can have someone growing up without giving them their limitations, without giving them their ramifications, without giving them a framework and of what to work with. Children need structure, but nowadays that line is kind of blurred. We give them more power than they need, and they cannot even comprehend what they are receiving, that they cannot work with what they are receiving, because their capacity, there's not enough capacity there for them to hold all of this. How are they supposed to navigate through a world that is giving them all the freedom of the world? So where do we start? We start with ourselves, right? Let's start maybe as parents, uncles, aunties, grandmothers, grandfathers, the whole environment, because it takes a village to raise a child, right? It starts with the home. It starts with the close community. Whomever this child is surrounded by should actually closely monitor what the kid is doing. The thing is that we are so busy nowadays that we let the kids do whatever they want to do. They watch whatever they want to watch. They stay up as long as they want to stay up. They speak in a certain kind of way that we allow them to talk. So I don't accept this, but there are cases where you will hear parents cursing. So let's start with ourselves. Such speech we should really be careful to use. And altogether, it's a sin, right? We know that um, God is very serious about the tongue because life and death is on the tongue. And that power that we release, we're releasing it without even realizing that now we are allowing for a seed for a child to grow up in that way. We are now training that child up in that way that it speaks the way that we speak. If we speak in colorful language, I'd call it, and this kid is just going to grow up that way. I saw a YouTube video the other day, and I fully resonated with the video, except with the lady that was speaking in that video, except for the fact that every other word was the F bomb. It was horrible how she delivered the message. The message in itself, 100% perfect, but the delivery was unacceptable. And now we have to wonder, and she was speaking about how the kids are acting out. So she was talking about how we would have not we have not dared to speak in a certain kind of way. We would have not dared to do certain things around our parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, whatever, our family, our our close relatives. We would have definitely not allowed for these. Well, we would have not been allowed to do so, and we would have not dared to do that because we would have been too fearful to do these kind of things. Yet she was talking exactly in the same kind of way that she's condemning for the kids to be talking like. So how can you not be a role model and yet expect for kids to do differently? And that is the issue that we have right now. We expect for kids to do things that we ourselves don't feel like we have to do. We just speak any kind of way. We just do whatever we want. We watch whatever we want. We listen to whatever we want. And then we wonder why the kids are falling behind in their development when it comes to order, or when it comes to manners and all these things. No discipline, and there's obviously little to no correction. So we should actually start with ourselves, and this is where keeping it real goes wrong. When keeping it real goes wrong, because let's be honest, what we sometimes like to do is, man, let me just be me. Let me just be real. This is just the real me. But if that is the real you, or this is the real me that is speaking this way, then the real our children are going to be that way, and we have nothing to say. There is no middle ground. There is no way that we can say, how did this happen? Why is this child so this and that? No, we are part of it, because as we walk wherever we're walking, we talk as if we have never been taught better, and that is the mistake. We have to start with ourselves, and that's the adults period, whether we have kids or don't have kids. Because even if we cross the street, or we are standing by the bus, or we are in a store, whatever we may be doing, the child may be passing by, listens to what we're saying, and catches it up. And then what? It acts out on it. It's just simple. It's really simple math. It's not a whole lot to it, but for us to speak in a cleaner way, or to act in a better way. We come somewhere and we act out. We are disrespectful towards people, that if something happened, we don't give people grace. We don't, it's just, it has to be a whole blow up. And when the blow up happens, it just has to be with all kinds of, how can I say, all kinds of misbehavior that we as adults showcase towards our children. And then we still wonder what happened. Now, this is not an indictment on cursing parents or whatever. I'm not judging anyone, but I'm challenging us to do better. I am challenging us to look at our kids, and even the kids of somebody else maybe, and help our children to do better, to speak better, to act better, because it lies in our hands. It lays in our hands whether our kids come up in this way or in another way. So if we can't help it, why not do better? And even for ourselves, it's actually best for ourselves to speak in a cleaner way, to act right, and to actually show self-control. That's the gift of the Holy Spirit, right? That's the gift of the Spirit for us to have self-control. And if we act with self-control, our children will learn how to be in control of themselves because they allowed the Holy Spirit to move, instead of thinking that every emotion has to be acted on or acted upon. Okay, so I think that we really should be doing, as adults, period, I challenge us to do a better job at this, because it's not just having children, but it's also, how do I raise this child? Where is this child going? What is this child going to be? Am I giving it the best and most effective foundation? Because let's be clear, if we don't, then we are complicit in this problem that we are seeing right now in society. And we also have to bear in mind that God gave us these children to raise them up in the way that He wants us to raise them up, not the way that we feel like we want to raise them up. So actually, we give them back to our Father so that we can receive our understanding on how to teach them. So we will never know how to train up a child in the way he should go if we don't ask the Father for those ways. So as I said, this is not an indictment on the parents or on adults that don't act right, but it's a challenge to do better. Let us help our children to do better, to get stronger in the ways of the Lord. That actually should be the first thing that we teach our children. I understand that many people say, this is not, or no, I do not understand, but I hear people saying that the ways of the Bible, they don't care for them, or they don't feel like this is the platform or the foundation that they want to raise their children by. But if they really thought about it, then they would see that the Holy Spirit is giving us so many beautiful teachings in the Bible that we are out for success if we kept them. If we only kept what the Bible said, because the Bible speaks about love first and foremost, but also discipline. Everything has its ramifications, everything has its limitations, everything has boundaries, right? Love in itself is not just the emotion. It's not just an explosion of feel-good emotions. It is the beauty, and it is also the discipline, because when both come together, then there's balance, and there must be balance in everything. Whatever we do, we must be balanced out in it. And so we also need to be balanced out in giving love. We don't shower our love, we don't shower our kids with our love, smother them with it, and actually miseducate them, right? I remember there was a story then when I was in my 20s, that's a minute ago. So I was still in my 20s, and my husband and we were out with my cousin, her husband, and her children. And my husband and my brother-in-law, I call him my brother-in-law, they were riding in one car, and my cousin and we were riding in one car with the kids. So the men already drove home, and I was driving with my cousin, or I was riding with my cousin with the kids, and we stopped by a McDonald's. Now my son had previously misbehaved, and I had disciplined him. Yet when we were on our way back, my cousin brought her children some treats, and I went along and I bought my son also some treats, including McDonald's and whatever. When I came home, my husband looked at me and he was like, "Are you for real? Why would you let this child get away with this situation by giving him an incentive?" Right? Because you're incentivizing now the misbehavior that he had just shown. And now you're fostering this, because in his little mind, he is thinking, couldn't have been that bad. She said something, but that is not what counts. What she does, that is what counts. And she is giving me something nice right now, so it must have been that bad, what I have done. But what I really should have done, and I was learning along the way. So I'm not saying that we as parents are perfect, but along the way we need to learn and get better at what we're doing, right? Now my son is 18. He's out of these things as far as like these kind of mistakes are concerned, because I learned to be, of course, a better parent along the way. Not to say that I'm perfect, because none of us is, but I learned to not incentivize my child and incentivize my child for bad behavior, right? So as I learned along with my husband how to parent better, I also had to bear in mind that I had to have an open heart, an open spirit, an open mind towards the Holy Spirit to speak to me, and receive the criticism that also came my way. Not to say that it was like harsh, but it was clear that I could not have continued on that way. Otherwise, it would have wreaked havoc, right? Now we have a little one, and of course I know better. And when you know better, you do better. That's why I'm saying I'm looking at myself too, and I'm saying, well, then when my son was still small, our first child, we made mistakes. I made mistakes. But young parents especially, be open for help when you need it. Don't just close up and be like,
I'm not letting you tell me nothing.
because in my thought process back then,
I just want to give my son all the love that he needs.
kind of thought process, I thought I was doing him good. But no, I was actually fostering a behavior that was later on going to become a monster had I proceeded with that kind of behavior, had I proceeded with that kind of education, had I proceeded with that kind of upbringing. So I was open for help. I was open for this type of criticism to correct that kind of thought process and way. And I challenged this same parent or adult to think in that way of allow for that criticism to come in, or for that help to come in, to look at this specific situation not as an indictment, not as judgment, but as we want for our children to do well. Even when we give that showering of love, what we really want to do is we want for our kids to have the best and to do the best, but we're not doing it. Actually, we're doing the opposite. We are now building the brat in the child, and the child will never know better, and it falls back on us because we did not do better. And I feel that this is where the attack comes in, and the devil is so cunning. He's making us think that, oh, we are so cool. I watched another video the other day where Candace Owens was having the ideas might be different about Candace Owens, but I really thought that this video is such a poster child of what is going on. There was this boy, he was a rapper, and he was speaking about, I could not even say how he was talking in that video, right? Talking about his genitals and how he would want a bee to take that genital and do whatever to it. No more than 9 years old, we're speaking here. And whomever was holding the camera, father, mother, or whomever that was, it must have been a relative, was fine with it. They even made a follow-up video because she called that child out. Well, she called the adult out that was holding the camera, because the child does not know better. But they were actually telling him how good he was and how well he was doing. And upon this video that she made, afterwards, the parent of that adult came out and let the little boy do a clapback. Who does that? I was just shocked. And I felt like these are the mistakes, or these are the problems that we have. We as the adults should do better so that our children can turn out the way that we want them to go. And it should be the ways of the Lord. And the Lord tells us to train up a child in the way they should go. The Lord tells us to be very careful with that tongue, because it holds life and death. The Lord tells us to discipline our children so that they will know what to do. They shall know right from wrong. The Bible tells us so many valuable and important teachings and lessons that we should really heed to them if we want for our children to really be successful. Because success is not just to have like a ton of money. It is also to have a success mindset. And that starts with the upbringing. It starts from home and how that child is being brought up. So let us help our children to do better. Let us help our kids and shame the devil along the way, that he may not have our kids, that he may not just come and and just disrupt whatever we have built up. Let us show him that we are victorious as children of God. And most of all, let us glorify God out there. Let us show that we, as parents, as not just fathers and mothers, but also foster parents and uncles and aunties and grandfathers and grandmothers, that we are all concerned for all of these kids, that we want the best for them and that we should be doing the best for them. So let us not move along with the please girl. Everybody does it. That's nothing normal. There's nothing abnormal. There's nothing new. It's been like that. But let us go with, you know what? Let me bring my behavior before the Lord. Let me bring my speech before the Lord. Let me bring my thought process before the Lord, and let Him let Him mold that. Let Him control that. Let Him change it. Whatever is needed for us to do better, and eventually our kids to be able to do better, let us do it, so that the attack on our children can be minimized, as opposed to be an explosion of bad behavior that we see an influx of at this moment. I will also continue with other things in that a series of the attack on our children. But for now, I hope that this was a blessing. And as per usual, we want to bear in mind that everything in the Lord moves by faith. Be blessed.